paper towel. Okay, I'm using this stuff from Seat Doctors. It's dark slate gray from my car. If you have a Crossfire with an interior that looks kind of like it's black, it's actually dark slate gray. And then the color that actually looks gray is called light slate gray, which is the color this piece originally was before I cleared it off, but stripped the paint. Now, I already have 2 layers on here. I did it in the sun, so it's a little streaky, but you can't really tell in the video. So I'm doing it in the shade now. But they're very, very, very light layers. You don't need much paint. I'm just going to put, especially for this piece, I'm going to try to pour just a little bit of paint. It's about all I need. You can't really put it back in the container. And I'm using a foam sponge. You could use a regular paintbrush. I think a foam is probably better than a regular paintbrush as far as seeing the paint lines. And if you have a paint sprayer, that's probably even the best option. They actually have the instructions on here. They're pretty good. Just kind of dip it in, and you want to put a very, very, very light coat because you want to be able to see the leather grain that's on here. You just kind of rub it in real good. My problem before, it was drying too quickly, so I wasn't able to blend it all in like this. So it was drying, and it was drying streaky. But again, ideally you probably want to spray it on. But I know not everybody has a paint sprayer. So using a foam brush, probably the next best option. Okay, I'm getting ready to paint this dash right here. It was originally this light slate gray right here. This portion I think is glued on. It's like a molded plastic, and this paint didn't come off easily at all. So I may be able to get it all paint stripper. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to put the dark slate gray paint over the light slate gray. Also here, this paint does come off on this side right here, this is kind of where your knees go, but it's scratched up, but it wasn't worth the effort down below where you won't really see for me to remove the light slate gray, so I'm just going to paint over it. Now this portion right here is black. This is the original plastic, and they paint the light slate gray or the dark slate gray over this plastic, and so I'm going to go ahead and put the dark slate gray on there. You can see on this part right here, I still have some of the light slate gray, and this is the black right here. But this piece right here, which I already painted, is going to go over this, so I won't see it anyway. I'm not concerned about it being absolutely perfect. I'm afraid if I do too much scrubbing on this, it's going to break more stuff, because as it is, this right over here broke a little bit from me trying to scrub the paint off. So, and make sure you shake this paint up really, 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 really good. You want it to be mixed properly, especially if it's been sitting for a while. I also have these. I bought a bunch of little foam paint brushes. I've been rinsing them in between sessions and letting them dry in the sun, so that way I'll have plenty left. Because I don't want the paint to dry and harden up the brushes. Now you just want to pour a very tiny bit, not very much at all. You don't need much of this paint. It goes a long way. You can see that. I'm going to start with this area right here. Just dip my brush in. I'm just going to put a small amount and kind of rub it in real good all the way along this section. I went ahead and painted this part, not the black part yet. And then you can see the difference between the light slate gray and this is the dark slate gray. It's a little streaky. It's definitely more difficult to do than it appears, but I'm hoping when it's all done, it'll look more like this trim piece that I already painted. And you have to do, this is actually 2 very thin layers, and you want to do, like, you want to rub it in with the brush and have a very little bit of paint. You don't want to use a lot of paint. You don't want to cake it on. You want it to be blended in really, really thin layers. So I did that right there, and then inside, these are really smooth, so they're a lot harder to paint. This is a little more of the leather grains. It's a little easier. And then I'll do this section and then the black section later. it just dries really quick. So this is the end product. I think it turned out really good. I actually only put 2 layers of paint on this portion and this portion because I put 2 layers and I had to go run an errand, and then it looked so good, I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. This part right here is kind of a different material, and it just was getting streaky for some reason. I also did this, and it was hot and humid when I did this, so I think the paint was drying as I was putting it on. It was cooler and less humid when I did these 2 portions, so it wasn't drying quite as quickly, so I was able to blend it in better. I think it turned out pretty good. This right here is the original dash. You can see with the broken tabs right there and there are broken.